Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. This is Muhammad Imran. I hope you're fine. We will discuss today stanza forms in English poetry. So, formally, this will be our lecture number 4 in the subject poetry. The focus of this lecture is to define and know about stanza and the main types of stanza. So, let's start our lecture. Stanza. A stanza may be defined as a group of lines of poetry forming a unit in themselves. So, a stanza is just like a paragraph. As a paragraph is a group of sentences, this unity and conveys a single idea. In the same way, we have a stanza, which is a group of lines used in poetry. So then, how can we differentiate a stanza from a paragraph? Thus, a stanza is used in poetry, while a paragraph is used in prose. Thus, the stanza is the unit of organization in poetry, just as the paragraph in the prose. So, a prose is organized through units, and each unit is called a paragraph. Oh, so we have here also a poem. A poem is organized through several units, and each unit is called a stanza. Right? So stanza then is the unit of a poem. Similarly, as a paragraph is the unit of a prose. So in many cases, the stanza composing a poem are quite irregular, alike in length and structure. Sometimes we can have regular stanza, and sometimes we can have irregular stanza. Irregular stanzas are those stanza which varies in their structure as well as in their length. By length we mean that sometimes a stanza, for example, we have one poem, and in one poem we have 4 stanza, and one stanza has 3 lines, while other stanza has 4 lines, while the third stanza has 5 lines, while the fourth stanza has 6 lines. So in this poem, each stanza varies from another one. And what about structure? By structure we mean that the rhyming scheme of each stanza would be different. For example, in stanza 1 we have line 1 and line 2, they rhyme. Line 3 and line 4, they rhyme. While in the second stanza we will see that line 1 will not rhyme with line 2. It may rhyme with line 3. And similarly, that line 2 will not rhyme with line 1. It may rhyme with line 4. So there will be like variation in structure, and there will be variation in length. So when a stanza has, when inside a poem, or when a poem is composed of 4 or 5 stanza, and each stanza is different in length and structure, such kind of stanza is called irregular. Then what is a regular stanza? A regular stanza is quite opposite of irregular one. A regular stanza, we have the same length and we have the same structure. By same length, we mean that in one stanza we will have 4 lines, for example. In second we will have 4. In third we will have 4. In fourth we will have 4 lines. Or if in the first stanza we have 5 lines, in the second we will have 5, in the third we will have 5, and the fourth we will have 5 lines. Similarly, if stanza first is structured with rhyme A, B and C, D, the second will be also A, B and C, D. The third will be also A, B and C, D. So then such kind of stanzas are called regular stanza. So this is the difference between regular stanza and irregular stanza. So a poem maybe consist of regular stanza or maybe consist of irregular stanzas. As in Wordsworth, ode on intimation of immortality and Tennyson mode, but as a rule, a poem is built up of unit or section strictly identical in form. Regular stanzas are commonly defined by the number of their lines and arrangement of their rhymes, which bind these lines together. The stanza form of English poetry are so numerous and varied that no complete study can be attempted here, but the following may be mentioned as some of the best known example of stanza form in English. It means that we have numerous and varied form of stanzas which are found in English poetry. So it's not possible that we discuss all the types, all forms of stanza which are found in English poetry. That's why we will discuss only the best known example of stanza form which are found in English poetry. So let's discuss what are some of the best known example of stanza form in English poetry. First, we will discuss the Chaucerian stanza or rhyme royal. So there are two names. You can call it rhyme royal or you can call it the Chaucerian stanza. Why do we call it Chaucerian stanza? Because such form of stanza was for the first time used by Geoffrey Chaucer. Now, the Chaucerian stanza is so called because it was first used in English by Chaucer, the father of English poetry. Most probably he borrowed it from France because he visited France and there was influence of French poetry on his poetry. So that's why that probably that he borrowed this form of stanza which are found in English poetry from France. Now, it is also called rhyme royal because it was used by King James I of Scotland in the 15th century for his well-known poem King's Quair. So, it is called rhyme royal because it was first used by the king, and the name of the king was James I, who was the king of Scotland in the 15th century. Structure of Chaucerian stanza. How to structure such kind of stanza? The Chaucerian stanza is a stanza of 7 iambic pentameter lines. It means that each stanza will consist of 7 lines, and in each line we will have 5 feet and 10 syllable, and these syllable will be regularly structured as unstressed and stressed, unstressed and stressed, unstressed and stressed, unstressed and stressed, because iam means that the rhythm or rhythmical pattern will be unstressed and stressed, unstressed and stress. And how many syllable will be there? 10 syllable. And how many feet will be there? 5 feet, because we call it iambic pentameter. Penta means 5. Meter will be iam. Iam means unstressed and stress. So Chaucerian stanza consists of 7 lines. For example, if there are 3 stanza, so every stanza will have 7 lines, and each line will have 5 feet, and each line will have 10 syllable, because in 5 feet we will have 10 syllable. That's why we call it then iambic pentameter. Penta mean 5. Iam mean unstressed and stress, and 7 mean 7. So 7 lines and iambic pentameter. In this stanza, the first line rhymes with the third, the second one with the fourth and fifth, and the last 2 lines rhyme together, thus forming a couplet. Now you can see here the structure of this stanza now. In this stanza, the first line rhymes with the third, right? And you will see that if, for example, in a poem we have Chaucerian stanza, so in each stanza, the first line will rhyme with the third one, and the second with the fourth and fifth, and the last 2 lines rhyme together, thus forming a couplet. What is a couplet? When 2 lines rhyme together. The rhyme scheme is A, B, A, B, B, C, C. So it means that line 1 will rhyme line 3, line 2 will rhyme with line number 4 and 5, and line number 6 and 7 will rhyme together. So we have 7 lines here. The stanza is particularly suited for narrative verse, and Chaucer used it for several stories in the Canterbury Tale. Shakespeare used it for his Rape of Lucrece, and in Victorian age it was used by William Morris for his Earthly Paradise. Here is example of the Chaucerian stanza. Let's see what is the example of Chaucerian stanza. So here is the example of Chaucerian stanza. Line number 1, it rhymes with line number 3, and line number 2 rhyme with line number 4 and line number 5. And line number 6 and 7, these two lines rhyme together. So die and I, in age, stage and stage. So line number 2, it rhymes with line number 4 and 5. And then price and lies, line number 6 and line number 7, these two lines rhyme together. So you can put here A, die, you can put here B, age, and you can put here again A, I. And then you can put here B, stage, you can put here B, stage. And then you can put C, price, and you can put here C, lies. The second well-known form of stanza which is used in English poetry is known as otarima. This stanza form was first used in England in the early 16th century by Sir Thomas Watt. He frequently went to Italy on diplomatic mission, and it was from there that he introduced this stanza. So you see that Chaucer, he borrowed from France, and here Thomas Watt, he brought it from Italy. So he introduced this stanza form into England. Like the Chaucerian stanza, it is also well suited for narrative purpose. So Chaucerian stanza is also well suited for narrative purpose, and this one is also. It has also been used for satiric purposes. Shelley used it for his The Witch of Atlas, Keats for his The Poet of Basel, and Byron for his Don John. Here we have the structure of otarima stanza. How to structure this type of stanza? Otarima is a stanza of 8 iambic pentameter lines. So there will be 8 lines. In the previous we learned that there were 7 lines. And in this form of stanza there will be 8 lines, and each line will structure as iambic pentameter. Penta means that there will be 5 feet and 10 syllable, and each foot will be structured as unstressed and stressed, unstressed and stressed. The difference is that Chaucerian stanza, it has 7 lines, while this stanza has 8 lines, and otherwise the same structure. Now the first line rhyme with the third and fifth, and the second with the fourth and sixth, and the last 2 lines rhyme together and thus form a couplet. In other words, the stanza consists of 6 lines rhyming alternately with a couplet at the end. So the rhyme scheme of the stanza is AB, AB, AB and C, C. So we have then 8 lines in this type of stanza. So line 1 will rhyme with line 3, and line 2 will rhyme with line 4. And similarly, we have then line number 5 and 6. So line 5 will rhyme with line number 1, and line number 6 will rhyme line number 2. And then we have last, that is couplet C, C. Now here we have the example of otarima, and this example is taken from Byron Don John. Now you can see that this stanza consists of 8 lines. We can count them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines. So line number 1 apart is rhymed with line number 3 marked. So A and 3, or line number 1 is rhymed with line number 3. Line number 2 range, it is rhymed with line number 4 exchange. Similarly, line number 5 heart, it is rhymed with line number 1 apart. And line number 6, that is strange. It is rhymed with line number 2, range. And line number 7, 1 is rhymed with line number 8, undone. So you can see here that you can put here A, apart, you can put here B, range. You can put here A, mart, you can put here B, exchange. Similarly, you can put here A, heart, and you can put here B, strange. And then you can have C and C. Spencerian stanza. This form of stanza is very popular in English poetry. The stanza is called Spencerian stanza because it was for the first time used by Spencer in his very popular epic poem, The Faerie Queene. So let's discuss it. The stanza is so called because it was first used by the poet Spencer for his romantic epic, The Faerie Queene. It is a stanza consisting of 8 iambic pentameter lines and Alexandrine, or a line of 12 syllables at the end. So it means that overall in this stanza there will be 9 lines. The first 8 lines will be iambic pentameter. It means that the first 8 lines, in each line there will be 10 syllables and 5 feet, and the rhythmic pattern will be unstressed and stress. While the last line, that is called Alexandrine, it will consist of 12 syllables. So 12 syllables, it means that there will be 6 feet. First 8 lines, there will be 5 feet and 10 syllables, and in the last line, there will be 6 feet and 12 syllables. So this is the structure of Spencerian stanza. Now, the first line rhymes with the third, the second, fourth, fifth, and 7 lines rhyme together, and the 6th line rhymes with the 8th one and the 9th. So the rhyme scheme is A, B, B, C, B, C, and then we have C. So it means that line 1 will rhyme with line number 3. So you can see here that A, B, B, C, and C. So this is the structure of Spencerian stanza. It is very difficult stanza to handle, for in it one rhyme is repeated 4 times and another 3 times. This naturally puts a 7 strain on the skill and resources of a poet. So the stanza is not very much easy. He must have full command over language. We are talking about Spencer. To find so many words with similar end sound, even then the stanza is admirably suited for a long narrative and descriptive poems as used by Spencer for Faerie Queene. Spencer used it with great success for his Faerie Queene, and ever since poets have frequently used it with more or less success. In early 18th century, James Thomson used it for his Castle of Indolence, and it was used by Byron for his Childe Harold, by Keats for the Eve of Saint Agnes, and Shelley for the Revolt of Islam, and Adonis by Tennyson for the Lotus Eaters. Here we have the example of Spencerian stanza, and it consists of 9 lines, and the first 8 lines have iambic pentameter, and in each line we have 5 feet and 10 syllables. And the last line, which is called Alexandrine, it has 12 syllables and 6 feet. You can see here that line 1, it rhymes with line number 3. Line 2 here, it rhymes with line number 4. And similarly, line number 5, where it rhymes with line number 2 here. And line number 6, that is broke, it rhymes with line number, the last one, that is awake, right? So you can focus this stanza that it has 9 lines, and the first 8 lines iambic pentameter, and in each line, the first 8 line, in each line we have 5 feet 10 syllable, while the last line we have 6 feet and 12 syllables. Here we have another form of stanza that is called the Terza Rhyma. The Terza Rhyma is an Italian verse form, and it was first used with great success by Italian poet Dante for his monumental epic, The Divine Comedy. In England, it was used with considerable success by Shelley for his Ode to the West Wind, Byron's Prophecy of Dante, Browne, The Statue and the Bust, and William Morris, The Defense of Genevieve, are also written in this stanza. Now, the Terza Rhyma is simply a group of 3 lines forming a unit. Only a group of 3 lines. In this stanza, first line rhymes with the third and the second line rhymes with the first and the third of the following tercet, group of 3 lines. So in this way that each tercet is linked up with the next, the first with the second and the second with the third, and so on. So a tercet may be run on the close. So in a run on tercet, the sense or flow or runs on from one tercet to another. On the other hand, the closed variety, each tercet form a complete sentence. Both these types have been used in England, but the run-on variety has been generally favored. Now here we have the rhyme scheme of Terza stanza. The rhyme scheme of any 2 tercets would be A, B, A and B, C, B, and so on for the following tercets. Right? So this stanza is the composition of 3 lines. First we have A, B, A, and then we have B, C, B. So Shelley Ode to the West Wind provides typical example of Terza Rhyma. You can see in this stanza that line number 1, being, is rhymed with line number 3, feeling. So then being will be A and dead will be B and feeling will be A. So A, B, A, and then we have red, which will be B, and then we have though, and we don't have such kind of rhyme with the previous one, so then we will put here C. This will be then C, and then we have bed, bed again, that is B. So A, B, A, and then B, C, B, and so on, right? Now thank you so much. It is the end of part first of this lecture. We will discuss quatrain and couplet and heroic couplet in part 2 of this lecture. So keep watching. Thank you so much.